Hi, welcome to the third episode of our Vue Storefront webcast. Today I'm gonna show you how to integrate the Vue Storefront with your existing Magento instance. Okay, so the integration part can be divided into basically two parts. First is to get the product catalog synchronized with your instance. The second is to configure the dynamic requests like stock checking, the price synchronization, and so on. So let's start with the catalog. To synchronize the catalog, you need to have Magento Vue Storefront tool installed. It's available on the GitHub. The installation is really simple. You just need to clone this repository and set up some config. Basically, it's describing my last Medium post, so you can go here for some reference after this webcast. Okay, but go back to the process. So you need just to clone this locally and set up the config, then run the scripts for the synchronization. Magento Vue Storefront needs to have Redis and Elasticsearch available on your local host. So if you install the Vue Storefront using the installer, this is what you already have using the Docker file provided with Vue Storefront API. So I assume that Elasticsearch and Redis are up and running on your computer. Okay, let's go to the shell. So here is my cloned repository of Magento Vue Storefront. The source folder, I'm in the Magento SQL or Magento Vue Storefront SRC. And then you have the config.js file here. So let's take a look at it. To make it work, you need to provide the Magento URL, of course. It's the URL to the API. And you need to have the Magento consumer key, consumer secret, access token, and access token secret, so the OAuth variables used to authenticate the API request. The whole synchronization is made using the Magento API. No Magento code changes are required. Here you have some other stuff to configure. So you can use Elasticsearch or MongoDB with Magento Vue Storefront. Of course, we're using Elasticsearch as a destination of our data. You just configure the URL and the index name, and here you have also the Redis configuration, which is pretty default. The defaults points to your local Redis and Elasticsearch as it is configured in the Docker file. So probably not need to modify it. As you can see, you can provide the configuration variables not only by config.js but also by modifying the process environment variables. So there are the environment variables from the shell. This is the way I will use later on. But first I will show you how to get this consumer key, consumer secret, and access token from Magento. So what we do is we synchronize this instance of Magento with your local version. So I will log in. Okay, so let me show you how to get this Magento access secrets to access your API. You need to log into the Magento admin panel and go to the integration section. So system, extensions, integrations, and then add the new integration. What's important is you need to select the permissions to stays, catalog, my account, and cards, because these sections will be used by Magento Vue Storefront and then by Vue Storefront API itself. After you save this integration and activate it, you get just the customer's key, secret, access token secret, which is exactly what we need to configure the Magento Vue Storefront. As I said, I will use the approach with the environment variables to not modify the config.js. So now we are ready to run the migration. It's very important to run the migration in the specific sequence. So you need to import the tax rules at first, then attributes, then categories, product categories, and in the end the products. Why is so important? Because, for example, importing the categories is propagates the data about the categories itself to the local Redis cache, which is then used by product categories. So we need to have this data populated before we run product categories. The same is with, for example, attributes that need to be downloaded before you import products to set the proper metadata and so on. So we need to start with tax rule at first. So as you can see, I have the script for that. So let's see what's inside. So nano test tax shell. So here's the way you can provide the environment data. So just provide them before the exact script name. So the environments data with the Magento access tokens, and then just node CLI.js tax rule, as you may see here. Here is the shortcut for this. If you enter this command, the Magento access tokens will be provided from the config.js files. So just select which way you prefer. I prefer this one with environment variables, and I'm ready to run it. Just test tax sh. So we are now ready to run the migration. So I will start with attributes. So I type just test attribute sh. And that's all. All the attributes, definitions, metadata is imported to Elasticsearch right now. And we can go with categories, so the same with test category sh, which is just my script created to provide the environment data. If you want, you can just store the config variables in config.js, and then the command would be simpler. So in my case, when I am using the environment variables, I have here like I provide the variables at first, so access token secret and so on, and then just node CLI.js categories, as you may see here in this tutorial. So this is exactly the same command. The categories are pretty fast to run. We have only like 20 or so, 28. Then we can go with product categories. This command will link the existing categories with the product IDs. The products will be imported later on, but that's not an issue. So that's the name of the command up here. So it's a category link in my case. So this will take a few more moments. Okay. It's pretty fast. Now I can run the main command like the products. What is important, the commands can be run on and on, like they just update the records that changed in Elasticsearch, so it's safe to run this command a few times in sequence. Oh, in my case this is test HH, just let me check it. So, yeah, it's like node products, but with some environment variables set. Here it goes. We are importing the products. Right now I'm running just the single process of product importer. What is cool, you can just take a look at CLI.js. The product command have a few options. First is with the partition. So when you enter the node CLI.js -- partitions equal, let's say 10, it will just run in the npm, so multi-process mode, with the number of processes you enter as partition. And each partition, each process will download one page of the products, for example 40 products per page. We are using queue here to store the commands in queue, so they can be even processes on different machines in the cluster, so it can speed up the whole process significantly. Right now the parallel import runs only for the products. Okay, it's still going. The products importer gets not only the products data from Magento, but also the stock items, category segments, and also data about the configurable children if there's configurable products. So all data required to display the products in the front end are important here. Okay, it's done. It wasn't so time-consuming process in the end. Now I'll show you another cool feature that can be useful, how to create a backup of your Elasticsearch for just sake of backups or playing with the JSON data dump. To do so, you need to have Vue Storefront API installed. I have it in the parent category. Oh, sorry, I'm in the source. So there is a command called npm run dump, which will dump the data to the var catalog JSON. I already have this file, so I will just remove it. Var catalog JSON, npm run dump. Okay. So all the products, catalogs, everything you have in Elasticsearch are now dumped to this catalog JSON file. If you like to restore it back to Elasticsearch, it's also pretty easy. You have another command for that, npm run restore to main, which means it will restore the data to Vue Storefront catalog index. Okay, so we have the catalog synchronize with your Magento. You can check how it looks like. So okay, we have some products here in the bed. We have the variants, we have other related products, do we have the categories? Yeah, so it's great. Have all the attributes to filters and so on. So works pretty good. The next thing is to integrate the dynamic calls with the Magento. What I mean by dynamic calls is, for example, the stock checking. When you enter the console, you can see that when you just adding the product to the cart, there is some stock check running in the background. And the result is that we have this in stock message. This command is executed directly to Magento backend, so we need to have this dynamic integration. I will show you how it looks like here on the network page. So there is a call to the local Vue Storefront API instance to the API stock check endpoint, and we get some result in here, like the quantity available for sales. So the Vue Storefront API need to have Magento access as well as Mage to Vue Storefront. So let's take a look how it's configured. So we need to go to Vue Storefront API project and to the config local JSON, and here you have just the Magento section. The most important part is of course the API part. You need to put the API REST endpoint here and the keys from integration setup. So it works the same like with the Mage to Vue Storefront. After this is configured, the Vue Storefront API will be able to proxy your request. So, for example, this request to AP stock check is executed somewhere in here. Okay, we have the check, and what it does is just call the stock proxy. Stock proxy is an auxiliary class depending on the platform. So, for example, we have stock proxy for Magento, as you can see here, platform Magento 2, Magento 2. Here we have the Magento REST client, and here we have the stock proxy. So what the stock proxy do is just calling the Magento API client to check the stock items. So you can just imagine that this call right here is a direct call to Magento. So this is the reason we need to have this Vue Storefront API configured to access the Magento API as well. Here in the Vue Storefront UI, this is the Vue Storefront core project. You can set up some more integration options. First is to synchronize the shopping carts and synchronize the totals. When you set the synchronize cart on, like through here, you will get the behavior like we have on the demo. So if you go to the demo Vue Storefront.io and add something to the cart, for example this product, you may observe that we are executing some more requests, like we are pulling out the server-side cart. So this is the server-side cart from Magento. Of course it's empty right now, but after we add the product to the cart, we are updating the server cart, adding this product to Magento card and then getting the totals. So the totals request is executed just when you have this synchronized totals on. And in the response, we get the price after discount, because in Magento we have the discount set for any products in the shopping cart. After we just update the quantity, the same synchronization process is executed. So this is the best way to get Vue Storefront synchronized with your Magento regarding the prices, promo rules, and the stock quantities. Yeah, and basically that's all in this episode. Thank you very much.